Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you the top 10 class mods in Baldur's Gate 3's mod manager. As you can see, there's a lot of class mods here, so we'll be covering the best of the best. There's some that are very unique in the way that they play and feel like they actually belong in Baldur's Gate 3 itself, which is what I'll be breaking down all in this video. Now, the first class that we're going with, number 10 here, is the Dragon Tamer. This one, you get a dragon pet. What's cooler than that? Now, the class itself is pretty basic as far as things go. So with the Dragon Tamer, you get to choose at level 1 which type of dragon that you want. You got the choice between ice, fire, and lightning dragons, and it will level up alongside you. In addition to this class, you also get to choose if you want to be melee or ranged focused. So that is the subclass choice. However, there's not a lot of choice outside of that. You just get to choose between these dragons, and you can see here all 6 of these. So these are the sword-based ones and then the range-based ones. So you get training with light armor and shields, and your dragon will continually get stronger. You can transfuse your health to heal the dragon. But as I mentioned, there's only 2 different subclasses here with the Elemental Archer or Swordsman. Elemental Archer gets medium armor proficiency. Every time that you do a ranged weapon attack, the dragon will attack alongside you, which I think is a really cool mechanic, having your pet go around just shooting off at the targets that you attack. And the Elemental Swordsman also gets heavy armor proficiency, and every time you do a melee attack, your dragon will attack them. Now, the only thing that's keeping this from being higher on the list is you only get a few different choices for special abilities between the Swordsman and the Archer, so it's not as detailed as some of the other classes that I'll be covering in this video. So for that, I can't put it too high, but it's still a really fun mod. This mod was made by Yulestar, and it's pretty fun. The next class we'll be focusing on is the Wild Song XXL's mod, the Wild Heart. So they've made a few different class mods, but I think that this one is very interesting because it combines the Druid with the Sorcerer, which is one of my favorite builds from Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous with the Sylvan Sorcerer. So that's loosely what this is based off of. So with this, you get to choose between a few different subclasses here. You got the Master of the Hound, the Green Speaker, Raven Song, Primal Lord, and Chaos Warden. So you can see that the cantrip spell list also includes mistress spells, which I think is a big plus. Any class that uses mistress spells or the 5e spells is really useful because it just adds a whole lot more spells to the game, and people can choose to use that or not. But you can see you got like some of the sorcerer spells, you got some of the druid spells, and with this you also get to choose a pet, and I think that that's what's awesome about this. So for the Master of the Hound, you get the choice between a dog, a wolf, and a warg pup. And as you level up, you get to choose some different summons as well. So this just gives you a lot of choice between what you want to build around. So like, for example, Green Speaker gets a Blue Jay, Pixie, Sapling, or Wisp companion. The Raven Song gets a choice, or I guess just gets a Raven. And as you level up, they get stronger, and you get different summons as you get to the later levels. The Primal Lord gets a Spider, Grimishka, Owlbear, Cub, and a Juvenile Dilophosaurus, which is the dragons from Act 3, or dinosaurs from Act 3. And the Chaos Warden gets the elementals, minor elementals, air, water, earth, and fire. So 5 different subclasses. It's a cool combination, again, of Druid and Sorcerer. So if you're a fan of either of those and you like the idea of having a pet that you can power up as you level up, this one is for you. So I think this is a great mod, and Wild Song XXL has also made some other cool mods that you may be interested in, because they've also made like a Green Knight, which is like a druid fighter, Green World Sorcerer, it's kind of another sorcerer. I also really like the Farmer's Revenge. This one doesn't have that many downloads, but it's quite funny because it's a farmer that has some magical powers. You can summon in some different creatures. So yeah, that one is pretty fun. But next we got ourselves the Elementalist class. What's cool about this is it has 3 different subclasses that come with a ton of different options. So you get the choice between being a half caster, a full caster, or a melee attacker. So you got the Elemental Gladiator here, which has a bind weapon, Elemental Synergist, which is the halfway between spellcaster, and the Elemental Weaver, the full spellcaster. What's awesome is I'll show you here, they have a bunch of unique attacks. So you can add additional damage to your attacks, which is cool because you can add cold damage, and then you can apply like the snowburst ring, and every time you attack, you're going to create ice surfaces. But you'll see here we got some further enhanced attacks here. So you got like explosive strikes, and you can choose which elemental damage type that you want to do. And as we continue to level up, we get even further choices for different attacks. So you got like Searing Sting, which does your weapon damage plus fire damage. You can do the Thundering Fissure, which does thunder, cold, even some extra abilities on your attacks, like applying weak grip. My favorite is this Flash Fire, doing thunder and fire damage. And as you level up, you get even further choices for these. So that itself is cool, but also So the spellcaster version gets all different types of spells, but the coolest part is all these unique spells. The half caster gets to choose 3 of these, and the full caster gets to choose 6 of these. So these are all bonus action spells. Like you got melee attacks, you got like a Hunger of Hadar that does full acid damage, acid shot, acid slam, hellfire orb, which is like a fireball, but it drops hellfire on the ground. Flashes of fire, hellfire blast, frigid blast, icicle blast, sunlight burst, thunderous detonation, sonic boom, booming quake, repeating bolt, radiant flash, freezing death. You get the idea. There's so many cool spells here, and they're all unique bonus action spells, which makes this a very powerful, but I don't think it's too overpowered. Like the fireball only does 3d8 of damage, but it uses the class resource, the elemental sparks. So in addition to having normal spells that you can cast, so you could like do like a create or destroy water, follow it up with cold damage. So that is awesome. The elementalist is a total blast, so that's why we have this class on this list. Mod was made by Avire here, and I highly recommend giving this one a download. It is super cool. Next, we got ourselves the Blood Rager, another class that's very similar if you played Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous, because this is a sorcerer mixed with a barbarian, so you can rage and you can spell cast. This mod made by Von Smash is amazing, because with this there's multiple different subclasses. So you got like the Abyssal, the Fey, Infernal, Shadow, Undead, and Verdant bloodlines. With these, they all come with different effects. For example, the Verdant bloodline, with this one you can actually root yourself to the ground and get increased armor class, and also tangle people up into your webs, or I guess your roots. And kind of reminiscent of Groot here is the image that they use for that. This is a very fun class because who doesn't want to rage and also be able to spell cast? This is just a blast to play through. So they actually have a bunch of information on the mod on their mod page, and they also have some of my builds. So if you're curious, I've done builds on all of these mods, but they're also working on the Aberrant, Arcane, Celestial, Draconic, Elemental, and Hagborn subclasses. So it's awesome. It's plain and simple. You don't get to spellcast to like level 3, but with that, you also get the ability to rage, so you can just go in and attack. You have lots of options. You're not overpowered either, and that's one thing that I really do appreciate about this mod, is the fact that despite having all these different options, you don't feel like you're outside of like what would be possible in a base game class in Baldur's Gate. There's some classes that are just, you know, straight up extremely strong. This one actually feels weaker than some of the classes in Baldur's Gate 3, like the Sword Bard, which is very overpowered. But I think that works perfectly for it because it's a unique class. I really like the Shadow Bloodline, the Verdant. Those are my 2 favorites of all the ones that I've tried out. And there's more coming. So this one's definitely a very high on the download list, the Blood Rager. Next, we got ourselves the Demigod mod. Now, this one is awesome. It unfortunately does not seem like it'll come to console, but this mod is made by Dean Enterprise. If you're a fan of Greek mythology, you got different heirs here. So you can be the heir of Zeus, Hades, Aphrodite, Ares, and Artemis. Each of these coming with their own unique spells and cantrips. So if you want to play the heir of Zeus, you get lightning attacks. And it also has Mistress Spells compatibility, which is just perfect. And the theming on this is amazing. So like the Zeus, you got even things like Thunderous Smite, Create Water, lightning attacks, cold attacks, anything weather related. With Hades, he's more so focused on necrotic attacks, and he's got his own unique spells. He's got the Soul Shield here, protect yourself from an attack and unleash necrotic energy around you. Deal 1d6 damage and soul chained to enemies within 3 meters of you that do not succeed a wisdom save. So yeah, you get some pre-selected spells for that. Aphrodite is more so focused on like psychic damage and just manipulation, like Friends, and other spells like the command spell, which is a really powerful one. So yeah, I think each one of these all carves its own unique path in terms of what you can do. Ares is focused more so on like force damage and just being a melee attacker. So you got some smites, you got some magic missiles, and just turn the heat up with that one. And then Artemis is all like the druid kind of, with many focuses on animal related and things that you'd think of when if you were Artemis. You also get Artemis's arrows, which gives you arrows with special abilities in your arsenal. So yeah, this one is a blast to play with all these different subclasses and much more coming. They've been updating this mod, and yeah, this one is super cool. So had to give this one a shout out because I just had a lot of fun with it. As someone that enjoys Greek mythology, this one is definitely one you'd want to check out for sure. So yeah, this is awesome. Next, we got ourselves a very popular mod with the Artificer. So the Artificer mod, made by Echo0000. This is one of the most anticipated console mods and one of the most anticipated mods in general, because this is a class in Dungeons and Dragons that didn't get adapted into Baldur's Gate 3. Yeah, this is a homebrewed version. Just want to put this out there because there's some people being like, well, this isn't like the actual this isn't like the actual Artificer. It's not meant to be. It's meant to be a bit of a homebrewed one. However, I think that they did a great adaptation of it. So you can see here your cantrip choice, your spell choice. You get some fun ones like shield, magic missile. You got some healing spells. Nothing too overpowered, and that's what I think works well. You also get some infusements, so you can use things like the enhanced arcane focus to give you increased spell attack rolls, or dexterity checks will receive your intelligence modifier. Strength saving throws and checks will get your intelligence modifier. Increase your armor class, increase your weapon attack rolls, increase or add homing to a weapon, and give advantage on concentration. As you level up, you get more of these, like some of them will restore your spell slots. And there's 4 distinct subclasses: the alchemist, the armorer, the artillerist, and the battlesmith. So I've done builds on all of these subclasses, so you can check those out on my channel if you're curious for how to play this. My personal favorite, I previously used to be like a battlesmith or armorer fan, but I think I'm leaning more towards the artillerist here. You get the eldritch cannon. You can apply this to your ranged weapon. My recommendation is actually to put it on the ground, as it kind of works as like a little turret that you can just like do little eldritch blasts with. And you also get the repeating shot, which gives you the ability to attack twice with your ranged weapon as a bonus action, and eventually you'll be able to attack 3 times with your ranged weapon, which is really awesome. So it's strong. I think the artillerist is the strongest one. Armorer is the most defensive. Battlesmith has some nice utility, and it's also kind of a nice, it's offensive and it's defensive. And the alchemist is just the jack of all trades kind of deal. You got grenades you can throw, you can get you can create potions, you can throw them. It's a blast to play. So you can check out my builds on that if you're curious for some more in-depth knowledge on this class. But yeah, the Artificer mod by Echo is just fantastic, so had to give that one a shout out. Next, we got ourselves a fun class, and it's one that not a lot of people have downloaded, but I think this is one of the best out there. This one made by Nightly ST, the Oakheart Sentinels. Now, with the Oakheart Sentinels, this is playing like, it plays somewhat similar to the Druid in Dungeons and Dragons 3.5 edition. So the Oakheart Sentinels also has a bunch of different subclasses. You get the choice between Oakheart companions or classic companions, so you get to choose a summon, which separates it from the Druid, who's all about wild shape. You can just bring in your summon, kind of similar to the Battle Master or the Beastmaster Ranger. So these are the classic companions, but you can also get things like an Owlbear and many others. And there's 6 subclasses, all featuring unique abilities. So you got like the Spring Keeper, which is kind of like almost a healer combination spellcaster. The Sun Watcher, which is like a fire and melee attacker. The Lore Seeker. The Phase Shaper is actually one of the most interesting because you can turn enemies that you fight into creatures. So you can turn them into like an owlbear, or you can turn them into like a really anything. There's like cats and rats at level 1. And when you turn them into the creatures, they can attack and take out other enemies for you. So that one's really cool. The Fall Reaver is fun as well. And the Frost Reaver is my actually probably favorite because cold damage. And you also get some cool things like the Winter's Gift, which is like Eldritch Blast but cold. You also get the Orb of Winter. Cold builds in Baldur's Gate 3 are very strong too. So great selection for spells. It also has Mistress Spells compatibility built into it. And as it says here, the homebrew class inspired by 3.5 edition Druid's Hooded Animal Companion, and we're full casters. Also, subclass use mainly Druid spells and bonus spells, even at even levels up to level 11. And they also have their own upgraded version of the Shillelagh or Shillelagh spell. So yeah, this one is so much fun. I highly recommend checking this one out because I think that this is the most underrated mod that's out there. It only has 15,000 downloads. I want to see that number go up because this mod is just so good. So I hope to see more people download this as time goes on, because this one really does deserve it. Each of these subclasses all feels unique from one another. And on top of that, you get the ability to summon in a pet. And what's better than that? Some of them even have their own choice, or come with their own pet choice. So that's even cool too. So yeah, big fan of the Oakheart Sentinels. Nightly ST did a fantastic job with this one. Next, we're getting into some very well-known mods. This is the Mystic, which has just recently hit 1 million downloads, so that's super exciting. We're going from more underrated, less known, to the most known class mod. The Mystic everyone knows the Mystic. This was like the first class mod to get unveiled on the mod manager. Has been updated for a couple months now, but it went live September 5th. This was really when the mods started coming out for Baldur's Gate 3. So you get a ton of different cantrips. The Mystic is just overwhelming because of all the choice. I've done previous builds on it, so if you want to see this in detail, you got 63 different disciplines. These are your class passives that give you a variety of spells. Some give you upwards of 8 spells, which is just actually crazy. So I really like this Mastery of Time, which the acceleration zone giving you haste. There's psychic damage. I'm a big psychic fan, so I like the psychic focuses. You can really do a whole lot with this. You can apply haste to yourself, so you can give yourself a bonus action haste. You can give haste to 6 of your teammates. You can do pretty much anything with this build. It's got 10 different subclasses with the Order of the Avatar, Awakened, Immortal, Nomad, Blade, Ascetic, Wujen, Soul Knife, Unbound, and the Exorcist. So I actually really like the Exorcist because you get the Puppet Master, which you can summon in 5 creatures, and these are like whatever class you want. So if you want a Warlock, you can summon in a Warlock. I like to summon in 5 wizards and drop 5 fireballs per turn, but you can really do a whole lot with this. Even the Order of the Blade gets the extra attack, which you can also give itself another extra attack, and then you can give yourself haste, so you can actually make yourself way stronger than a fighter could be, and spellcast as well. So yeah, there's just so much to the Mystic. It is overpowered, but yeah, it's meant to be. This mod was made by Zevo. They did such a great job on this. 1,000 or 1 million downloads is crazy. Like, this is seriously so wild. But yeah, there's no surprise this would be on this list because it's really that good. Next, we got ourselves the Mind Weaver. This class mod doesn't have the same amount of choice as with the Mystic, but the Mind Weaver itself actually just got itself a new subclass. So we got ourselves the Satanic Warden, Force Blade, Astral Seer, Void Reaver, Aetheric Strider, and Frostveil Sage. To break these down and just make them kind of easy to digest, Satanic Warden's a one-handed psychic damage attacker with spell casting. The Force Blade is a force damage focused heavy armor and just get in tank type class. Astral Seer is kind of like the sorcerer, wild magic sorcerer. It has the astral abilities which can explode and deal damage around you. You get a bunch of cold damage spells. So you get like a cold version of Magic Missile, a psychic version of Sonic Orb. You get a psychic version of Fireball, cold version of Lightning Bolt. So yeah, there's a lot of choice with this. It's very strong. The Void Reaver is about dual wielding longswords, so you can actually apply the finesse property to longswords. So you can build around dexterity, and you're also kind of like a psychic damage focus like the Sonic Warden because you get all these different focuses here. You can do like a psychic damage and a force damage on the same attacks, which is great because it's 2 very powerful damage types. Aetheric Strider is cool because you get psychic damage on your bow attacks, and then you get necrotic damage on your melee attacks. The Aetheric Strider is meant to jump around and deal damage from place to place, which just is super cool. I really enjoy this class mod. And we just got ourselves the Frostveil Sage, which is like a monk mixed with spellcaster, but cold focus. And I'm a big fan of cold damage, so you know I love this one. I actually just previously posted a build guide yesterday of the Frostveil Sage alongside the Arcane Vanguard, which is going to be a class I'll talk about in just a minute here. So yeah, Frostveil Sage, just a lot of fun. It's the newest one, and they're constantly adding updates to this. This mod made by ZX10RX was updated last 3 days ago. So yeah, they put serious work into this mod, and this previously was my #1 mod, but the #1 mod for today, I have to hand this to the Arcane Vanguard. Sathos has done a lot of work improving this mod, and they're constantly, they work on this mod every single day. I just have to, they deserve #1 place just because they're in my Discord server sharing updates. So you can join the Discord server, links in the description. They've recently just updated 2 new classes. So previously there's these 4. We just got ourselves the Ice Quiver here, and their newest class that they just added, which is called the Grave Knight. I'll be posting a build for this later today. This is like an undead kind of focus build. So much fun. So with this, you got the different subclasses. So the Eldritch is more so like a psychic damage focused. The Judgment is kind of all over the place in terms of elemental damage types. So you can apply whenever you deal damage with a cantrip or spell, it'll infuse that damage type with your weapon. So when I say all over the place, I mean they got all sorts of damage in terms of elemental choices. So it also has Mistress Spells compatibility. They're constantly tweaking and adding new things to this class mod. So Sathos has done such a great job with it. The Sentinel is focused on radiant damage and kind of like an assisting paladin type build. The Dervish is all about melee attacks, and you get different flourish attacks that you can deal. Ice Quiver is bow focus, and you get the Ray of Frost arrow infusement, so you can attack with an arrow, and it's infused with Ray of Frost. I think that that's really cool. And it's got the ability to walk on ice and so much more. This one is my favorite, but the newest Grave Knight is so cool. It's focused on using any type of necrotic attacks. You get the Grave Bolt here, which does vile energy, dealing acid, poison, or necrotic damage and other effects. And you also get some unique options like the Graven Art, Corrosive Blood, and the Life Leech, and the subclass feature Graven Arts, so you can level it up, getting more stacks of Graven Arts that further enhance your attacks. Now, the reason that I put this mod in first place is because of the extreme level of detail that Sathos has put into this. He listens to everyone. Like, whenever people give ideas, he is also a dungeon master in Dungeons and Dragons, so he knows how to run a good campaign and not make things super overpoweredly unbalanced. It's quite balanced, honestly. He actually just recently added Booming Blade to the Dervish because there's a lot of people asking for it, and it just fits thematically with the Dervish. So they're constantly adding things and working to improve this mod for everyone's enjoyability. And I just have to say that the Arcane Vanguard is seriously such a great mod. So yeah, I really enjoy this. Thanks to Jason Dunna for the updated banner. I just helped him out with this banner that he made because yeah, I love this mod. There's just so much to it. This is one that I always use whenever I'm doing my playthroughs, just because of all the choice you get. You can do some pretty crazy stuff with this. So yeah, this is definitely my favorite class mod, and I think it is the best class mod in the Baldur's Gate 3 mod manager. So let me know your thoughts on these class mods that I covered. Let me know what class mod you think is the best. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an incredible day. Hit the subscribe button below if you haven't already. You can also join the Discord server. You see some more updates on the Arcane Vanguard and some other mods, since I got some different mod authors in there. I hope you all have a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.